Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota Lynchburg, and today I wanted to go over the Kubota B series and give you guys an orientation on one. So today I'm going to go over the orientation on the B series. I've got behind me the B2301, which is the exact same tractor as the B2601, very similar to the B2401. So if you got any of those three models, this will be applicable to you. The 2401 is the gear drive model, so some of the stuff I talk about with the hydrostat transmission and cruise control won't be applicable, but again, the overall tractor is close enough, and the things you need to know when you first get that tractor close enough, you'll be good to go. So as with all my videos, I like to start with the front of the tractor with the quick attach system. Now I will show you guys how to take the loader on and off if you've got a Swift-Tach loader, which they've been making now for about 2 years or so, I think. So if it's any time recently you've gotten one, this will be applicable again. But we'll start with the front. So as always, Kubota has the quick attach front bucket. Now there is still an option to buy a pin-on. Hopefully you didn't get that, because if so, you need to convert it to quick attach. One of the most important things, because this is a common call or common question I get, is, Zach, one of my cylinders is out further than the other. And that's not actually one of the cylinder issues. Long story short, you've bent your quick attach, and you don't want to do that. That's an expensive mess up. So one of the most important things when you have a B series with a loader, when you are taking this bucket on and off and on, if you look down here, there's a pin right there that locks the quick attach to the bucket. You want to make sure that that pin goes into the square. You can see the extra piece right there goes in fully and locks in. If you forget to put one side in, or it doesn't lock in properly, that is when you can twist your quick attach and bend your loader quick attach frame. And now you're talking about a $600 to $800 repair to get a new one on your brand new tractor. So it happens all the time. Don't feel bad if it does happen, but try to prevent it by making sure your quick attach locks in. Again, this quick attach can be used for all sorts of different things, like pallet forks, bale spears, and everything like that. If you didn't already pick up a set of pallet forks, grab those, because those are a man's best friend. Depending on what bucket you got, but you'll probably have a level indicator. And how this works, I've got another video on it, but how this works is when it's primitive. When it looks level from the tractor seat, this sticker, that means because it's parallel to the bucket is level on the ground. So it's just a lot easier to see this sticker than to see the bottom of the bucket when you're sitting in the tractor seat. This loader will pick up, roughly 900 pounds. I've got other videos on lift capacities to show you exactly how much, but estimate a 600 to 800 pound lift with a full bucket of dirt and everything like that should be what you need to do. The important part of that is when you're using this tractor for loader work, this is part of the orientation, always have counterballast. Always, always, always have counterballast on this tractor on the back end. Whether it be a box blade or a bush hog or some other implement on the rear, you don't want to pick up too much on the front and have your back end come off the ground, especially if you're on a hill or a slope. Now, hopefully your dealer put fluid in the rear tires. If they didn't, I recommend going to a dealer and getting fluid in the rear tires, or finding a video. You can do it yourself. It's not the easiest thing to do, also not the hardest thing. It's feasible. Put some windshield washer in here, but make sure you have fluid in your rear tires. There's an easy way to check that. Basically, just take the valve stem cap off your tire. You take a screwdriver, pocket knife, and press that valve stem. If liquid comes out, you know you're golden. You got fluid-filled tires. So still on this loader, the other important thing on this loader is going to be grease points. So all loaders, anywhere it pivots, so if you look in here, you're going to have what's called a grease zerk or a nipple, grease nipple. These are going to be all over the tractor, especially on the loader. And so you want to grease these every 10 hours. So anywhere you see a pin that goes through and pivots, grease point there, grease point here, grease point here, grease point here, grease point here, or here, and yep, another grease point here. They're going to be all over the place. So you're going to have all these grease points. Every 10 hours, roughly, grease it. If you grease it more, great. If you grease it less, all right, try not to do more than every 20 hours without greasing it. You will have a couple grease points on the tractor. Not a ton, but where basically your brake pedals are underneath, there's a grease point. You don't have to get underneath the tractor and show that, Lee. I'll save you from getting dirty. On your 3-point hitch arms, we'll talk about this next. There's another grease point here. So there's a couple other ones on your tractor. Please read your owner's manual. It'll tell you exactly where they are. But on this B series, there's not as many as some of the bigger tractors. So if we come around to the back of this tractor, you do have your 3-point hitch. This is a category 1, which is pretty much standard for compact tractors, anywhere from 18 to roughly 45 horsepower. They're all going to have this Cat 1 hitch, which means it's very easy to hook any implements to. You can get these implements from anywhere, any brand, any make, any model, and they'll fit here. So you've got a category 1, a 3-point hitch, and you have what are called telescoping stabilizer arms, which in my opinion is one of the best inventions. You can pull this little pin, and now you can swing your arms in and out. And when you get to the desired point, or you put it on your implement, you can just drop this pin back in whichever hole keeps it pretty stable and do that. If you have telescoping stabilizers, it is well worth getting some aftermarket or even upgrading to the Kubota telescoping ones. If you have the, sorry, I might have said that wrong. If you have the not telescoping ones, please update to the telescope and make your life a lot easier. And your 3-point hitch is pretty simple. It's just going to, spin in and out to adjust to whatever implement you are. It's just going to basically adjust the angle of the implement that you're using. They put a little hook on here that if it lines up, is handy. It actually hooks right on there. You don't have to bang it out like I just did. Your PTO is underneath this cover. So for hooking up your implements, Kubota gives these nice covers on there. This one even has an additional plastic cover, keep the grease on there. The key point to a PTO, if you are hooking and unhooking implements, is keep it well greased. You can see all that grease that came from the factory because they know how important that is to keep it well greased. Don't let it get dry and rusty and dirty, because then it'll be impossible to put implements on, and then you'll have to go buy a PTO link, which is really nice, but they're expensive. So go get one of those if you have spare money. The other thing I want to show in this 3-point hitch is there is a drawbar system. It's hidden. So if you're looking to pull implements or attachments or anything, you do have this handy little drawbar underneath here. You're basically just going to drop a pin through it, put that back in, and now you have your drawbar. But they hide it up underneath so you have a little bit more room on the back end when you're working with PTO implements. So just keep that in mind. That is there. It's just hidden. And now you just got to get the pin back in. There we go. All right, so that should be pretty much about it for the 3-point. I'll point out one of my least favorite things ever about Kubota is their crappy toolboxes. This is about as cheap and junk of a toolbox as you can get, which is pretty much standard for any of their compact tractors. Get one from like Be Expanded or somewhere. There's a million aftermarkets. Get like a ROPS mounted toolbox, like an ammo can or something like that. There's a lot of aftermarket options. This is next to worthless, and it really is worth, if you have a tractor, to keep a couple extra spare pins, a screwdriver, and an adjustable wrench with you when you need it. Get a big enough toolbox, you can even put your grease gun in there. These B series are still considered a part of our compact tractor lineup that have a mid PTO, so you can put a belly mower on it. I don't have one here, so sorry, I'm not going over that today. But what that means is you can actually fold down your roll bar. So if I were to pull this pin on both sides, very easy, you just pull the Carter pin keeper, pull this, you now have a folding roll bar. It's going to swing right down to here. And now, if you have to put it in a garage, go under some low-hanging limbs, under some clotheslines that you're cutting around or something like that, you can fold this down. If you fold the roll bar down, please do not wear your seatbelt so you can jump out of the seat. When you have your roll bar up, please do wear your seatbelt so you are safely protected by this roll bar system when you're in the tractor seat. It saves lives. It might be annoying, but if you have any kind of hills or slopes, it's probably better to live than to die by using the roll bar. I don't want to be crushed by a tractor, so probably neither do you. So put the pins back in, and now you're good to go again. But this is a lot easier than some of the L series and the bigger tractors. We actually have to use tools to fold down the roll bar. This is a much easier system. So, all right, now to the fun part, the operator station. You're older, you have bad knees, or you're really short, this is pretty much of a hike. I'm 5'11", and it's a pretty good step. You can take the step off the Kubota LX series. It's the same platform, already has the bolt holes right underneath here, and you can put that step right here. So if it's a little difficult for you to get on and off, you just bought this tractor and you're like, it's a pain to get on and off every time. Get yourself a $56 step off an LX series, 4 tiny little bolts that bolt right up and save you a lot of pain and effort. So if I do step up on here, some of the immediate things that I like about this tractor, of course, one of my favorites being the tilt steering column, little silver pedal here. Now you have a tilt steering column. Once you hop on, and it's so easy. You can sit back and steer with your thumbs rather than having to reach up and forward and have to lean out of the seat. You do have a nice, comfy, high back seat with armrests on it. So again, very comfortable. This B Series is comfortable. You have cruise control. That's what the second interior lever is. So if you're going forward, you can lock in cruise control. Only works when the machine is moving, but feel free to use cruise control if you're mowing the grass or you have long areas you're going and you don't want to sit there with your foot on the pedal. These pedals here are going to be your brake pedals, your parking brake or your actual brake. If I push off, my parking brake is on. If I push down the parking brake lever and let off this one while holding that, my parking brake locks in. Release your parking brake, you just push it again. You can see that lever move each time. You can unlock your brake pedals. So now I can brake the left rear tire or the right rear tire to brake steer. Most of the time you won't keep these unlocked because you don't want to accidentally, as you're going real quick, only hit one, you jerk sideways. You do want to keep them locked most of the time, but if you needed to brake steer, you had a purpose to unlock them, feel free to do that as well. You have a nice open floor plan, rubber floor mats. Not much to go over on this display. This is all just your hazards, your turn signals, that kind of stuff, and your headlights. Your hydrostat pedal is about as self-explanatory as they come. They have a forward arrow and a rear arrow, forward and reverse. And this is, you can keep your foot here and rock your pedal back and forth. I don't find that comfortable. I like to keep my heel here and switch between the two, but personal preference. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and take the camera and show some of these controls. On this one, you have 3 ranges. So you have your high for highway, low for loader, and medium for mowing. So most of the time I try to keep them in medium because that's the best one. High is for going very fast but not good on hills or slopes or with a heavy load. And low is when you're doing that heavy loader or pulling work. Now your yellow is for your PTO. So if I needed to engage that rear implement like a bush hog or a tiller or a mid-mount belly mower, you push forward, that's engaged. Pull back, you're good there. And here you can choose which one you're using. So since this one has a little PTO in the middle, that's a mid PTO for a belly mower. Or you can run the mid and the rear, or just the rear if you're running just a rear implement. So just switch between those as needed for whatever application you're using it for. There's your seatbelt. And if we go over to this side, we have raising and lowering the 3-point hitch arms, which will also raise and lower your mower deck. And you have your 4-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive. 2-wheel drive is when it's disconnected. 4-wheel drive is when it's connected, all going together at the same time. Now you also have a differential lock on this tractor, which is going to be this right here for your heel. So that's going to lock your rear tires to spin together. If you're in mud or snow or dirt, you can just press down and hold down and it'll help you get you out of that system. And this knob right here is very rarely used, but this actually basically opens or closes your hydraulic valves for your 3-point hitch. So if your 3-point hitch never, for some reason, won't go down, most likely you've accidentally spun this and closed that valve. Just open it back up, and that's going to control how fast or how slow your 3-point hitch and mower deck raise and lower. And then this knob here is to lock your loader controls. So if you wanted to not be able to move your loader around, you could push this lever and lock your loader controls so it doesn't accidentally go down. One of the few times I use this is when like kids are riding on your lap and you don't want them moving the loader as you're riding around. So the other thing I'm going to go over, let me go under the hood real quick before I do taking the loader on and off. I think my pin's on the other side. Yep, there's a little black ring on this side in front of the hood that you pull, and that's going to release the hood, and then you just got to find a way to pick up on it. It's not heavy. It's got a little spring assist, and it's not a heavy hood, even though it is metal. But this is underneath your hood. Luckily on these B series, there's no emissions regulations, so you don't see any big silver canister. You have your radiator screen here. If you start overheating, you can pull this out and clean that off. You got the little tab there. You got your coolant levels for your radiator. You got your battery. And that's pretty much it, other than a small air filter back here to blow out every 50 to 100 hours. So that's your kind of service side. Right behind the air filter is actually where you check your oil. So you do have to open the hood to check your oil on this tractor. While you're checking your oil every 50 hours, you might as well check your air filter and everything like that, and your hydraulic fluid. When you get this tractor, release the hood. When you get this tractor, you want to do a 50-hour break-in service. That's going to be engine oil filter, engine oil, and your hydraulic filters. So, never remember, it's probably on that side of the engine is the engine oil filter. Let's see. Yep, right here is your engine oil filter, so you'd open that hood and you'd have very easy access to it, very easy to spin that off. You've got your drain plugs up underneath. Put a new oil filter, new oil in there, and change your hydraulic filter, which is going to be up underneath the back end of the tractor. So I don't know if it's going to be easiest to see. I can see it down through here, but basically it's right underneath the seat on this side is your hydraulic filter. So spin that off, change your filter at 50 hours. You don't change your fluid until 200 hours. To check your hydraulic fluid, you top it off back here. There's this little black plug here is where you top it back off. And this dipstick is to check your hydraulic fluid on the back end. When you first get this tractor, I highly recommend check all your fluid levels. Make sure your dealer did their due diligence and checked all the fluid levels, including your front axle oil level, which I'm going to show you on this side where that is. This is probably one of the most common mistakes because they don't come from the factory filled up. You have your dipstick plug right here. Mine has fluid on it, which is great, although I have been running it. So you want to make sure that there is front axle fluid, park on a level ground, and make sure that it's showing up on your dipstick. It's unfortunately a common thing where people forget to add that fluid and they run it dry. Not a big deal. There's not much to go wrong in there, but you don't want to do 100 hours. 10, 15, 20 hours is fine. 50 hours is fine. Once you get more than that, be careful. So there is a fuel water separator right here, the fuel bowl. There is a way to drain that and empty that if you ever need to. So if you get water in your system or you get a clog or a drainage or something like that, you've got your fuel filter to change in there, but you don't have to change the filter for a couple hundred hours. So it's a while before you have to change that fuel filter. So that's only there if you have an issue like water issues. And there's plenty of other YouTube videos out there showing how to do that. Last thing I'm going to show you guys real quick is how easy it is to take this loader on and off. Hope it goes smooth for me. The number one tip for this, do it on level ground. Don't do it on uneven ground. Even where I'm at, I would consider too uneven. Take it to level, flat ground to take your loader on and off. But what you're going to do, hopefully it's not too loud, I'm going to talk the way through it, is you raise your bucket up and you tilt your bucket back. And you'll see in a second what that did. That basically loosens, if I tilt all the way back, loosens your kickstands. This lever here, you're going to go ahead and push down. That's going to release the kickstands. You can actually see the kickstand coming down now. I released that, and now I have a kickstand on the front. So now I can put this bucket down on the ground. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work the bucket around until I take the pressure off the front of the machine. So you see my tires are actually off the ground here, so I'm going to put on my parking brake. And if you come on in here, there's a lever like this on each side. This actually unlocks the loader arms from the frame of the tractor. So you bring that up and around on both sides. And now I'm actually already disconnected from the frame of the tractor. So just Leo, watch your feet. Yep. So now I can move these controls around and find a way to pick it up off. And I got to remember how to do it right. Oh, there we go. All right, come on, Zach. I don't do this very often, you can tell. There we go. So I'm rolling it forward off of it. There we go. And I'm disconnected from the frame. Now see, I'm on uneven area, so it kind of twisted. That's what you don't want to do. You'll scratch your hood like that. But you are now disconnected from the frame. So, all right, Zach, what about my hydraulics? I'm going to turn off the tractor. I'm going to release some of the hydraulic pressure just by moving my joystick around. And right here, put my parking brake back on. Right here on your hydraulic valves, you can see there's a little red button. That's your unlock. So you pull that out until the lock's further out. That's in, this is out. It's subtle, but you pull it out and twist it. And now I can undo my hydraulic system like this. Look, all my hydraulics are disconnected. So now I'm not even touching the loader anymore. It's as simple as that. I can set that there. I can back away from the machine. Try not to scratch my hood while doing it. Hey, I made it. And I'm disconnected from the loader. So it's as simple as that. And the putting it back on is the reverse process. Pull in, hook up your hydraulics, put your loader arms back down and everything, and it's as easy as that. So now you can go mow your grass. Now you can go service it easier. If you're using a rear implement, you don't want the loader on the front, great. It's just going to sit there until you get back for it. So that's your orientation on the B series. If I left anything out, even though this video is kind of long, please leave me a comment, let me know, and I'll try to get back to you.